we are welcoming national championship golf coach and second-time member of the Stadium Gale podcast, JC Deacon. Man, it is a pleasure to have you, my friend.
Yeah. What's up, guys? I'm seeing some swinging Gator gear there. I love.
Oh, hell yeah!
The best logo in college sports.
It's beautiful.
And I just got back from Ireland, so now we are golfing in the 14th century, 15th century here, JC.
Look at you, perfect for this week with the Open Championship coming.
That's right, JC. Man, it's a pleasure to have you on again. Congratulations. The Florida Gators were not only SEC champions in golf, but also national champions, and also won the individual championship with Fred Biondi winning is the Gators' first national championship in golf since 2001 and men's golf since 2001. Also the first time that they won the NCAA individual championship since 2001. JC, man, it has been a fun few years watching you help rebuild this Florida Gators program over the last few years, man. What's it been like? You were on the show right 2.5, 3 years ago now. At the time you were recruiting, going out, really trying to build. It's really cool to see all that come to fruition. But what's been the last few weeks been like for you, my friend?
Well, it's certainly a dream come true is probably the only way to describe it. When I got this job, I understood Jeremy Foley was putting a really great responsibility in my hands, and to be able to fulfill on some promises and make him look pretty good it was really, really important to me. He's just one of the most amazing men, and I owe a lot of this to him, and super proud that we got that W. Getting a big bear hug from him when we got home back to the airport here in Gainesville was one of the coolest moments of my life. But I always thought we were capable of this. I started at 31 years old here at Florida, and I'm not even the same person or same coach. It's crazy how much I've learned and come along. And obviously, we added Dudley Hart as our assistant coach a couple years ago, and he's really helped me grow as a person and a coach, and brought some elements to our program that I think kind of put us over the top. But the SEC championship, the trophy's actually just over here to my left, so it's nice to walk into work and see it all the time. That was the one I really wanted. I think at some point you always hope you could win a national championship, but men's golf in the SEC, it's the best conference. It's not even close. The depth is just insane, and winning that title was everything to me. And John Dubois making that 20-footer on the 18th green there to finally put us over the top. We had been close a couple times, but that was kind of the end to me. And I remember 3 days after that, it was the Wednesday. We had a team meeting, and I said, "Look, guys, I gotta kind of refigure this and redefine the season for me, because what just happened on Sunday was my dream come true as a coach. I just wanted to win that tournament, and you guys did it and played that well at that time. But we got two choices. Either we can dig in and double down on everything we've done this year and see if we can't do something big at the big one, or we can just enjoy this and celebrate the SEC. And obviously the guys chose to double down, and we had a couple scares along the way, I think, which probably made the experience all the sweeter. Definitely being down and out to Florida State in the semifinals. I mean, it was done. We were toast, and we came back and beat them. I mean, it was you could not script it better than the whole thing happened. And being a national champion at the University of Florida that's pretty special.
JC,
go ahead, Nick.
Was there a time, obviously you're talking about just winning the SEC and wanting to do that and fulfill that goal. Was there a time at all where doubt starts to creep in for you, and it's like, man, you got the opportunity when you were so young, and is there ever a time where something creeps in, like maybe I just don't want to do this here. Maybe I need to go somewhere else. Maybe I just want to go back and play.
Yeah. You know what? There's two moments that I can clearly remember. The first one being probably the best team that I've ever had here at Florida was in the spring of 2017. Alejandro Tosti, Sam Horsfield, Gordon Neal, Andy Zhang, who won the SEC championship as an individual, and Ryan Orr was our team. They were experienced and extremely talented, and we're ranked, 2, 3, or 4 all year long. One of the best teams in the country. I think we'd won 4 or 5 times. one of those individuals was winning pretty much every week. And we got to regionals and we were playing fine. I think we were in second or third place the whole week. You have to finish in the top 5 to move on to the national championship. And we just, the bottom fell out on the back 9 of that regional. And we didn't even make national championship that year. And I remember coming home saying, maybe I'm not cut out for this. Like, how can we have this good of a team and not even make the national championship, let alone win something? But looking back, that's probably a defining moment for me as a coach. I learned a lot about preparation, taking things for granted. And we probably don't win this year without that experience back then. And then 2019 spring, we had the number 1 ranked recruiting class in the country come in that fall in 2018. And the number 1 and number 3 ranked players in that class, they both kind of lost their game. And it happens in golf. It's not, football, I feel like a lot of the time, if you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, but if you're bigger, faster, stronger, from everything I've read about Nick Saban, that's how he recruits. He's got, a certain formula for each position, and they're all supposed to be a certain size and weight and stuff like that. It doesn't work like that in golf because it's so mental. And we had a couple guys that they just lost it and they weren't ready for the stage that the University of Florida is. And we were so bad that 2018, 2019 year. I think we fell to probably 40th in the country, barely made regionals, didn't even sniff making the national championship. And that's when I had that moment, Nick. I'm like, man, maybe I'm not cut out for this. Maybe it's just too big for me. But we had a recruit named Ricky Castillo sitting in the pipeline, and he started that next fall, and he won National Freshman of the Year, the Phil Mickelson Award, and he brought a type of swagger to our program and our team that just changed everything. And I'm so grateful for Ricky and everything that he gave this program, and so glad he got to leave an SEC and national champion. But it hasn't been an easy path. I don't think any coach at the University of Florida I'll tell you that it's easy because the expectations are higher than anywhere in the country. But, that's why I came here. That's what I told Jeremy I wanted. And, thankful that we got to hang a banner.
I love it. JC, and then Ricky Castillo goes, he gets his Corn Ferry Tour card and then goes out and wins his very first tournament that he participates in. So just a couple of months of huge wins for Ricky Castillo in his career. JC, want to talk about that from a coaching perspective, and as a golfer, not good enough to ever play collegiately, right? But as a golfer myself, I understand the mental component of it. But you kind of mentioned it, but you talk about the SEC. You guys were a little down and out. You really had to make a run there to ultimately win the SEC. And then stroke play, you're right there between 3rd and 8th. And, so much can change, in each hole. But then you shoot the low round in your group in the 3rd round and ultimately move on to match play. Then you're down to FSU. You guys ultimately come back. And then, against Georgia Tech in the finals, you guys are up. And then all of a sudden you look at it and you go from up 4, tied 1 to you win 1, down 3, tied in another over the course of 2 holes. How do you talk to your team about mentally staying focused and continuing to just play your game rather than, getting that doubt that starts to creep in?
Yeah, I mean, it's a tremendous question. I think that's ultimately the key in golf. I know it's kind of like that in every sport, but you just can't be focused on the results, and you got to be committed to every shot. That was our goal the night before, is let's go out. We understand we're playing on the biggest stage. You guys are on the Golf Channel. The whole world's going to be watching. The golf world's going to be watching. If we commit to every shot tomorrow, we knew we were going to have a good chance to win. So whether you're 3 down or 3 up, we're just going to commit to each shot and try and be in the moment. And it helped a lot because we had 4 seniors in the lineup, and it's like, any other sport. They've just been there. They've heard the messages for 4 years. They know what to do in the big moments. They don't flinch at all. And after that SEC win, beating Vanderbilt the way we did, we kind of came back against them. I think John Dubois was 3 down or 4 down in his match against Vandy at one point, and he won on the last hole there. So we'd had a lot of experience with being both up and down. And to our guys' credit, the moment never got bigger than them. and they really stayed focused. Loved it. I think that's another big part of playing well. In big moments in sports is loving and embracing that challenge and the pressure. And that the experience paid off for sure. And looking back and seeing the coverage, it was July 4th, actually, like Florida Gator Day on the SEC network. And we got to rewatch it. It was the first time I got to see it. And I'm only with one guy at a time. So I don't get film or anything like that. So I was focused on Matt Kress, but watching some of the shots our guys hit and the passion that they played with and the intelligence that they played with at this age, I'm so proud. And I think it was kind of an educational on, where our development and our plan for our players is working. And they were certainly ready for those moments. And hopefully it's an experience that they're going to take and build on for the rest of their life. And I think obviously you look at what Ricky and Fred and even Yushin's first tournament on the Corn Ferry this summer was a T12. It's really, really impressive for a 21, 22-year-old to do that right out of the gate. So our guys are ready for the next level and ready to be pros. And I'm probably as proud of that part as I am in the championships we won.
JC, how does we cover a lot of sports and I play sports. So from a coaching perspective, I'm interested to hear what motivating golfers, what does that pregame speech look like? Because it's such a mental game. What does that look like from a coaching perspective?
Well, it's a funny question because
it's not Al Pacino in Any Given Sunday.
That's a good one right there. Well, that's probably what I've had to change the most because me personally, I come from a hockey background, born in Toronto, Canada. Toronto Maple Leafs are in my blood. I've been watching those games since I was probably a year old, and hockey's very raw. It's very physical, and golf just couldn't be more opposite. So I grew up around a bunch of coaches in hockey that were raw. When things aren't going well, you get in people's face, you get them fired up. I can only imagine, you see some of the football locker room speeches and stuff like that. That's who I am at heart. But golf is it's the complete opposite. And you need to remain calm in the biggest moments. Getting fired up and getting your blood pressure way up doesn't help you perform better. So I've had, I used to yell at the guys maybe more. I would be very emotional, get fired up in the good moments and the bad. So I've tried to kind of model more of the behavior that I want our guys to see on the golf course. And there's times where they need a little kick in the butt and a little loud mouth in their ear, but it's not often. And it was nice this year having so many older guys on the team. We had our culture in a really good place where we didn't have to do a lot of the policing. That was coming internally from the players. And we really kind of had a uneventful year with that type of stuff. So I found it works better for golf, modeling the behavior that you want to see your players have, and trying to keep your breathing and your blood pressure as low and as calm as you possibly can. That's going to put you in the best state to hit the best golf shots and make the putts when they matter. So trying to keep the emotion out of it and be as less Al Pacino as I possibly can.
JC, what is you've mentioned a couple of times that the roster was a little bit older. What was it like knowing that the guys that you had around you, whenever you finished that last tournament, they were going to be gone. Their professional careers were going to be starting just days after, a week after that. So what was it like just knowing what you personally had gone through, what the guys had gone through the last 3-4 years, to end winning the last match of the year, and sharing that on the golf course, and then getting a nice jet ride home and just being able to just enjoy it as a group for one more time.
Yeah, Nick, that's probably been the most special part of all this. I'll never forget, I spoke about him already, but Jeremy Foley's just been instrumental in my life and my career. And we'd been talking about it for a long time. He was going to come and talk to the team and didn't know when. And he called me in February and said, "Hey, I'm coming. I'm not asking this time. I'm coming to speak to your team." And so he didn't tell me what about. And I wasn't sure. I was actually a little nervous because, as you guys know, Jeremy can really command a room and be intimidating when he wants to be. But he just sat these guys down and said, man, I've watched this team grow up. We all know how talented you are. There's 4 guys in this room who have already won tournaments individually, but you guys don't have a ring. You guys have nothing to show for this as a group. And he said, man, it would break my heart if you core 4 guys left this university without any hardware and without your names on the wall as a team. And it really struck a chord with our guys because, I think the opportunity was there, but as you mentioned, Nick, I think time was running out and we all felt that. We only had 2 chances left to get a ring in the SEC and national championship. And I think that really bonded us together was we got to do this now, guys. It can't be wait till tomorrow or I'm going to practice later. I'm going to work out later. We had to do it now. And Jeremy's message was perfect timing. And I'll never forget it. It's hard when you pour this much into these guys, and it's not just the golf shots and their golf games. It's, the ups and downs along the way. Some guys struggle with school. You help them get through that. There's girlfriend issues that you help them go through that. It's, I hope to be really close to my players for the rest of their lives. That's why I got into this, and that's probably the best part of it. But Ricky, we've won 2 points, and Georgia Tech had 1. So Ricky's 1 up and Fred's 1 up coming down the last hole. We just had to win one of the last 2 matches to win the whole thing. And Ricky stripes this 3-wood down the 18th hole at Greyhawk, and we're up there watching Fred. Ricky had been watching in his rangefinder, watching the whole match unfold, and we're pretty sure Fred's going to win. He needs 2 putts on 18, and Ricky and I are walking down the fairway, and I go, man, I knew it. When I met you, he was 11 years old when I met him. He was about 3 foot nothing. I said, I knew we were going to have a moment like this. I knew it. And we both looked at each other, and I'm not kidding. We started bawling like babies. We were crying. I
that's dope.
never cried that hard in my life. And he still had a shot to hit. And we get about 20 yards from his ball. And I'm like, dude, we got to get our life together here. Our eyes are filled with tears. We're shaking. And he still, if Fred 3-putts that, Ricky's got to hit a shot. So we regrouped, but that moment was something I'll never forget because I think it signified how much we had poured into each other, how much we had poured into the team, how much we had poured into the University of Florida. And it was all unfolding in the biggest moment in college golf, and we were going to win. And it was something I'll cherish forever. And these guys are really special. And I think probably the greatest part of this national championship is no one can ever take this away from us. We got that and we won it and we seized the opportunity, and we're going to be a part of Florida Gator history forever. And what a way to leave the guys with, as they go on to the real world. It's the most meaningful thing for me as a coach.
Although, JC, I want to ask you, you mentioned it early on, and I would be remiss who my uncle who listens to this show, who's a much better golfer than I am, club champion, all that stuff.
That doesn't take much, Dan.
Well, no, club champion at Golden Ocala. JC knows what that means. Anyway, long story short, he would be upset if I didn't ask about Dudley Hart. Dudley Hart, 4-time All-American at the University of Florida, played on the PGA Tour for a long time. You mentioned him coming on to the program over the last few years. What has his addition meant to you and your coaching career and ultimately developing these guys?
Yeah, I mean, there's not enough words to describe Dudley Hart. I remember I got the job in June 2014, and when they mentioned it, I think he was probably the second or third person that called me or texted me and just said, "Hey, man, I know we don't know each other, but I love the University of Florida. I love our golf program, and I want to help. So lean on me whenever you want." And so we came pretty close after that. We're very similar. We both love hockey. He's a big Buffalo Sabres guy, Buffalo Bills guy, and so huge sports fan. And obviously we share a passion for golf and helping players develop. So Dudley started with us pretty quickly. He was our volunteer assistant coach, and he was still playing full time on the PGA Tour at that point in time. And he'd come up, once or twice a semester, and he probably after a couple of years, he's like, "Man, I love doing this. Like, I love seeing the guys get better. Love being a part of their life, love getting to know them, use me more often." So we became closer, and he started spending more time with the guys. And then I I guess it was 2 years ago, right about this time, maybe a month later, Mark Leon, who was my former assistant, Mark got the head coaching job at FAU down in Boca. And then Mark just got named the head coach at Penn State University at his alma mater. So he got his dream job too, which was something that's really cool that's happened this summer. But yeah, Mark was leaving. And Dudley was up here helping me out. I called him and said, hey, Mark's leaving. Horrible timing. We got a week till school. Can you come up here and help me out? Dudley's body was kind of breaking down. He's had like a spinal fusion in his back. He's had his thumb worked on 3 times. He had a bunch of surgeries. He's like Humpty Dumpty. They put him back together. So I think his body was kind of telling him maybe it was time to do something else. So he said, look, it's perfect timing. I'm not playing anymore this year. My body's killing me. I'll come up and help you for as long as I want. So perfect Dudley thing. He lived in our casita. We got a little thing beside our house that he lived in for a couple months and did his own thing. But we had another candidate on campus who I was going to hire, just an awesome young guy who was really up and coming in coaching. And halfway through the guy's visit on campus, Dudley walked to my office, closed the door, and I'm like, oh, geez, what did I do? He's never serious. Dudley's always the jokester. He's never serious. He goes, man, I just want you to know the job that you're interviewing him for, I want it. And I'm like, what? He goes, why didn't you tell me? He's like, well, I felt bad. I didn't want to put you in a tough spot, but I'm done playing. My competitive days are behind me, and I love doing this. I love the University of Florida. This place means everything to me, and I want to get into coaching and do this with you. So that was difficult because I had to find a way to get the other guy off campus without offering him the job. And anyways, so Dud signed on, and I guess the best way to describe Dudley is, he's a 2-time PGA Tour winner. He's accomplished everything in the game of golf. But if the greens need to be blown off or, something needs to be fixed or painted, like Dudley will do it. He is not above any job. He's a natural born leader. He's in here first thing in the morning. His kids are a little bit older, so he's not shy. He's got a great wife, Suzanne, so she takes care of a lot of the stuff at home. But he's the first one here every day. He pours his heart and soul into our guys, and I think that just stepped up the level of accountability here. I think a lot of our older guys were like, dang, like my coach outworks me. Like that's sad in a way. Like we got to step it up and make sure that Dudley's not the hardest working guy in the building. And then, on top of that, his knowledge about the game, all he's done his whole life, 4-time All-American here at Florida, got his PGA Tour card first year he left Florida, won pretty quickly, obviously had a ton of success. And, all he's done is be around the best players in his world, in the world for the last 30 years. So all that knowledge and credibility has been poured into our players, and it's helped. And I think they just started believing the message a lot more. He's added some structure in some different places to our practice. And I really do believe he took us from a good program to a great one. And he's promising me he probably wouldn't be doing this if it wasn't at the University of Florida. So I think he's getting some head coaching offers and stuff like that. But we got him for as long as his body can hang on. So hopefully we're gonna have a lot to offer these young recruits, as they look to pick a spot to play and develop their game over the next 10 or so years.
We can get into recruiting a little bit, but obviously the roster will look a lot different. And one of the guys you've mentioned a couple of times, John Dubois, he'll be back for his 5th year, I think.
Yeah.
Did you get on him? Like, golf recruiting is a little bit different than football recruiting, which a lot of our listeners are used to. And I say the same thing with baseball, but I think you were in on his recruitment a little bit late. And what has been just the trajectory and the arc of his career, as I think he'll be one of the guys that you look to as a leader for your team next year?
Yeah. Well, I'm a massive football recruiting geek. So I wish I had actually signed on to the show a little bit earlier. I heard you guys at the tail end of that conversation. I love that stuff. I'm fascinated with like the whole arena of football and basketball recruiting and where it's going. And I watch Billy Napier and what him and his team is doing right now. I love it. I just think they're going to be so successful. The attention to detail and obviously I think they're starting to catch the eyes of all the best players around the country. So I'm excited to watch football recruiting grow. But yeah, we got flat lucky with John Dubois, and it's another probably really good life lesson I learned as a coach. This was 2018 in the fall, probably the lowest moment I ever had as a coach here. We were playing terrible. Our two top recruits that I mentioned earlier had lost their game. I didn't know what to do. And one of the guys that we had lined up to come in our 2019 class, he got cold feet 1 week before signing day. And he's like, Coach, it's just too far. I don't want to be away from my family, and I'm not going to be able to come. And I just want to let you know. And in golf recruiting, it happens pretty early. It's 9th, 10th, well, now 10th grade. We can't speak to them until June 15th after their sophomore year. So it happens a little later now, which is nice. They changed the rules a couple years ago. But before, it was 8th, 9th, 10th graders like softball. I know Tim Walton's kind of in the same boat. You get your team locked up really early. And this kid pulled the plug a week before signing day. So we had a bad team. My top two players had kind of lost their game. And now I'd lost one of the top 10 players in the country who's pulling the plug. And I'm like, man, I like you said earlier, I don't know if I'm cut out for this. I'm losing the team here. It's all falling apart. And I look back, and there's no way we win these two championships if that kid doesn't call and decommit, because word kind of got out that he had decommitted. And John Dubois reached out to us, and he said, I know I'm committed to a D2 school, but I've always wanted to be a Florida Gator. It's an hour and a half up the road for me. My parents love it. This is where I want to be. So I said, John, we got to do this the right way. You got to call your coach. It's very different than football recruiting. There's some unwritten rules in golf recruiting. Everyone, for the most part, kind of respects commitments. You know, when someone's committed, they don't recruit them anymore. And it actually couldn't be more opposite than football, I guess. But and hopefully I'm not a naive coach in saying that. We try and all follow the unwritten rules. But so John had to call his coach, decommit, and then came for a visit here. And as soon as he got on campus, he's like, you know, you can show me the facilities, you can show me around, but this is where I want to be. I'm coming. And if you offer me a spot, I'm coming to Florida. And I think there's something really valuable to that. The kids who really believe in this place before you have to tell them a word or before they see a facility, it means a lot to me. You know, obviously it helps them get through the tough times when John was in and out of the lineup early in his career. And I mean, there was never a mention of a transfer portal or leaving. He loved this place so much and wanted to figure it out. So he just kept getting better. And he worked at it really hard. Fred Biondi and Ricky Castillo were his roommates. They've been roommates for 4 years. So he was around some really special players who I think, you know, maybe probably in any sport, you know, when you have elite players like that, they talk a certain way, they carry a certain confidence. And that started to rub off on John. He's naturally very humble and maybe shy about talking about his own game. Well, kind of an inner confidence started coming out. And then, you know, I don't want to say out of nowhere because he had a couple top 5 finishes, but I mean, he won the SEC championship individually last year. And that was like, whoa, you know, that's a big deal. We have the best players in the world in our conference. And he beat them all, shot an unbelievable 64 in round 2. So that was when it was like, shoot, maybe John's, you know, even more special than we thought. And then he's just absolutely, him and Fred were the ones you could rely on. I think, you know, if the guys were in a dicey situation or, you know, out having too good of a time, John's always the level-headed one that can say, hey, boys, we got to shut her down. And we got something bigger to represent, and we're going to do the right thing here. You could always count on him to do that. And, you know, you look at his performance this postseason, doesn't get talked about as much as maybe Yushin, Fred, and Ricky, but he was so rock solid. I think we counted pretty much every round that he played across the board. He went, I believe, 5-1 in match play across that. He came back in that Vanderbilt match from 3 or 4 down to Reed Davenport. So he just was Mr. Reliable for us, Mr. Calm. He's an unbelievable human being. I'd want to be his friend if he wasn't on my golf team. He's just a fun guy to be around and always brings a good attitude and a witty sense of humor. And, man, I'm so proud of John. And when he got the opportunity to get that COVID year back, I thought it was a no-brainer for him. He's going to be kind of in the running for that PGA Tour University this year. And so if he goes out and has a great year and wins a few times, he'll have those same opportunities as Ricky and Fred and Yushin did this year. So I'm excited for him. He's our unequivocal leader this year, and he's got a great opportunity to step in there and be our 1 or 2 guy. So it's all up to him now. We'll see what happens.
JC, final question: Who are the other names that we should be looking out for? Obviously, you're replacing a number of your top 5 there, but who are some names that Gator fans should be looking out for?
Well, it's an interesting question because I'm, in a weird way, probably more excited for this season than I've ever been in my coaching career because, to be honest, I think the expectations have been relieved a little bit, winning at the rate that we did this year and getting that SEC and getting the Natty. It helps a little bit build some credibility for our program and for us. So there's a little bit of relief pressure. But we have, I saw, the media is putting out their preseason rankings, and I hadn't seen us in any of the top 10 rankings. And I've been posting them in our team chat every single time they come out and keep telling the guys, no one thinks we're going to be any good, boys. Like, zero respect for you guys. And I don't probably know the names of what the lineup's going to be yet, but I got a feeling we're going to be really, really good. We got 3 freshmen, 2 from the state of Florida, 1 from Virginia, who are unbelievable. All 3 of them swing really fast, have a ton of power, great technique. So I got a feeling it's hard at this level, but I got a feeling at least 2 of them, maybe all 3 of them will make an impact on us this year. Luke Poulter, his dad, obviously big name. Ian Poulter's doing some great things on the Live Tour now. His son redshirted last year. Luke, no one knows about Luke, and he's unbelievable at golf. He's been around the best players in the world his whole life, and the kid can really play. So he's obviously got a chance to make an opportunity for himself and make a name for himself. And then we dipped into the portal, and we got the number 1 ranked player out of the transfer portal, and Ian Gilligan. Ian signed with us about a month ago, and he was ranked 13th in the whole country last year. So adding a player like that was big time. And I think Ian's got a chance to really elevate his game and make it a name for himself here. So I don't know who the lineup's going to be and what it's going to shake out. I really don't. I truly believe that. And we'll let the guys' golf scores figure that out. But by the time March and April rolls around and Duds and I have had a chance to develop them for a few months, I got a chance we're gonna surprise some people and hopefully have a couple of those media guys eat crow about not putting us in those rankings.
I love it. Well, I know Yushin Lin came from USC, right? So he had a great career after transferring from over there, and then hopefully we can see that from the Long Beach State, I believe, transfer, right? So, JC, man, it was an absolute pleasure to have you on this week, and congratulations to you and the team. And it's awesome to watch. We sponsor a guy. The company I work for sponsors a guy on the Corn Ferry. So it's really cool to watch each and every week and then watch Ricky Castillo come out and Yushin Lin and the rest of the guys get into their professional career and start rocking. So, JC, it's been awesome to watch over the last few years. Congratulations to you and the team, and we'll talk to you soon.
Yeah, my pleasure, guys, and keep up the great work. The passion y'all pour into the Florida Gators is amazing. Proud to have you guys wearing our logo like I told Nick. He tweeted something about it a couple months ago, and it went viral, and it all helps us build the brand. But love the Gators, love that logo, and really, really appreciate you guys having me on. Hopefully I didn't talk too much.
No, you're great.
Great.
Best logo in sports.
All right. Thanks, guys. Have a great day.
See you,
Thanks,
brother.
JC.